Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Road to Grandmaster series. This is episode number 42. And in this series, I take you through my behind-the-scenes training to achieve the highest title in all of chess, which is biggest chess YouTuber, followed very closely by the second biggest title in chess, which is Grandmaster. In this episode, we're doing something super exciting. First of all, yesterday, I had my best tournament performance on chess.com ever. I tied my overall best performance, which I actually got several times, including last week in this very series. But also, this was my best run. I beat many, many good players, multiple grandmasters, and I'm going to cover the games for all of you. And I'm going to preview my next tournament, which starts tomorrow night. It's here in New York City. No spectators. It's a closed event. But you can follow online. All the information I will put in the description for you to follow along. And a very quick preview for all of you. The Patreon subscribers to the Road to Grandmaster series already got a preview of the tournament. And also, right after I'm done recording this video, I'm going to record a much deeper analysis of all the games of today's video, plus other things that are not covered, because the Patreon folks, they're awesome. And they get some bonus content in the Road to GM series. This is the tournament. It is a closed event. It's 10 players. It's a round robin, and I'm playing actually a close friend of mine, Mr. Kyron Griffith, very strong international master, very handsome and talented individual, as well as several grandmasters, and the pairings and results are here. So in the first round, I start off by playing Grandmaster Zhurbek Hamrakulov, who I actually have played before, I think even maybe on this channel. It's going to be his second or third time being featured in a recap. 9 rounds, and super excited. Just super excited to play. Not much else I can say about that. Patreon heard it first. Now, yesterday, and you know, I will just say, going into this tournament with 2 very good results, I will be very happy. So yesterday I played in Chess.com's Title Tuesday tournament, and I had my best run ever. At the last round, I had 8 points out of 10. So if I won my last round, I would have gotten 4th place, because the top 3 were Magnus Carlsen, Daniel Naroditsky, and Shahryar Mamedyarov, who finished, I believe, with 9.5. I would have finished half a point behind those guys, but unfortunately I lost to Zhu Zhangyu, Chinese grandmaster, and he played a very nice game against me. So overall I got 8 out of 11, but I've never had 8 out of 10. And that was a very, very big deal. It's a magic number. And I did it, and in the middle, I had this run where I beat 3 very strong players, which I'm going to show you now. And for the Patreon folks, I will analyze. I'm about to, right after this, I'm actually going to record a deeper analysis of some of the other games, wins and losses, and so on, very instructional. So I opened up with pawn to e4. My opponent for this game, Alexander Shimanov, who I've played multiple times now. I've played him 6 times. 3-3. Listen, I'll take 3-3 against Shimanov. He played the Scandinavian defense, an opening I'm very familiar with, and have a course on Chessly on, which starting tomorrow for the tournament and for Labor Day here in America will be on sale. Pawn takes d5, queen d5. And here I played an extremely rare move, but one that is actually quite poisonous. Pawn to h3. This is a surprisingly powerful move because the point is I want to play knight f3, d4, c4, and I want to disallow the bishop coming to g4. By the way, I should quickly say, those of you that own my E4 course, I know I'm talking a lot about the paid content, but I'm going to tell you something for free right now. I actually recently added some analysis on the Scandinavian defense to the E4 course to bolster some tools there. So H3 is the move I chose in the game, and actually he replied with C5, which is the best move according to the computer, and this is where my knowledge of this opening stopped. You may be wondering why he didn't check me. I mean, I would just block, or even with my queen. For example, you know, queen e4 check, not that good of a move. If white hangs the pawn, it's pretty good. But if white doesn't hang the pawn and just plays knight e2, then it's nothing special. So here I played knight c3, queen d8. And here I actually kind of fell asleep. Not like really, but, you know, I was expecting knight c6, which stops d4, and he played knight f6, which completely allows me to, you know, play in the center. And this move would have stopped him from going knight c6 because I would just shove the pawn forward. Be very careful putting your knights in the center in chess when they can be attacked by enemy pieces like this, because, especially by enemy pawns, because all of a sudden they have to run around the whole board, and it's just really, really bad news. I guess in that case he would have went there, but I would have protected that first, and then I would have played a3. I didn't do that, and actually I went here. And another thing you don't want to do with your bishops, you don't want to develop them too early so that your opponent can block their diagonal. And actually in this game, he just went knight c6, and he blocked my diagonal, which I didn't think he was going to do because I thought he would want to get his bishop out first. But he played e6, which is obviously slightly passive on this bishop. And here again, I should have been a little bit more cerebral of his development. I put my rook on the open file, which obviously nothing wrong with this move. But here, you know, I didn't know how to develop, and I kind of absent-mindedly played a move in 1.5 seconds, which is just a little bit too fast. I should have realized he's going to play a6, b5, right? Because there's no other way to develop. I should have went a4. And the point is that after a6, d3, castle, like, he doesn't have an easy development for this bishop. Instead of that, I played a3. This is simply not a good move because I let his queen side just get active. So he gains space and finishes his development. And overall, black has the better development here. Because what ultimately is development in chess? Development in chess is getting your pieces out and giving them good future prospects. Right now, my pieces are out, but I cannot say, you know, they have very good future prospects. Like, at this point, I was already looking at sacrifices near his king because I really didn't know what to do. And I knew his next move was knight to d4, and I've kind of lost the battle for the center because his bishop is going to be very good. So, normally in this position, realizing I kind of slightly messed up in the opening, I would tank a lot. I played queen d2. I spent some time. I didn't really know what to do, but then I quickly played rook d1. Again, I didn't know where to put this rook. You know, you could put the rook on c1 because if there's a trade here, he's going to go here. I kind of quickly played rook d1. Not the best move, but I'm trying to keep even on time, and now he plays knight d4. So he is better here. It's minus 0.8. I would say that makes the win probability maybe like 57 to 58%, but it's obviously nothing crazy. I really have to take, otherwise he is taking me. Unfortunately, now he gains more central presence, and his c file is open. And he plays this nice move, queen b6, ready to begin advancing on this side of the board and putting pressure on my queen side. So I see that coming, right? And I play knight takes f6. And the reason I played knight takes f6, because I thought, look, I don't want to give him more options. I want to kind of simplify things down. The crazy thing is the best move here for black very well could be pawn takes f6, with just a very nasty idea to play king h8 and just, oops. It's a very common concept. So if you have a position where you can take, and the opponent cannot easily transfer pieces to attack you. Like, for instance, bishop to h6, rook d8. I can't get my queen here. Like, I can play queen f4, but there is no mate. I lose the race to the mate, and I lose the race to my king. So be mindful of those things. He took with the bishop, and pretty quickly, he didn't even consider g takes f6. So at this point, I was like, okay, he's going to try to come here, and I want to move my queen somewhere. So let's play bishop to b3, and when he plays a5, let's play a4. Now, I would love if he plays b4. Then his queenside initiative is completely stopped, and as we see, the position gets back to equality. So he needs to continue to put some pressure on me. Now, he has this concept of rook c5, trying to transfer the rook to this side of the board, and then try to attack me. It's a little bit of a weird concept, but he actually goes to play it in a little bit. So takes. This is hanging, but then I have rook to b1. Not to mention that, you know, he doesn't really want to trade pawns. He just wants to win my pawn. So he plays bishop to d5. Now he is threatening to take. If I play king h2, he's going to take. Play rook b1, he's going to play queen c3. Previously, I would be winning his bishop, but he moved the bishop. The bishop d5. I played this really depressing move. I really didn't want to play this move, so I spent 27 seconds here because I was like, rook behind pawn like this is so ugly. But to be honest with you, I guess I'm behind a queen and a pawn, so rook b1 is actually an improvement. Here he went again for this rook c5 idea, and the intention was to go somewhere over here. And here I seize back control of this game. I realized he missed something. The point is, I have a weakness, right? This is my weakness. He's clearly got some eyes on it. And my bishop, you know, is a moment away from getting traded. It's very bad. Suddenly I play c4, and I think he completely missed this move. He streams his game, so I haven't checked, but I don't know if he missed this move or maybe he underestimated it. But suddenly, if we, on passant, right, now I don't have a weakness anymore, and I attack his queen. So this is a weakness, but his queen is already hanging, and mine is protected. So he's got to move his queen. But the thing is, if he doesn't take me on passant, if he like moves his bishop back, I get rid of my other weakness too. And even a position like this, white is not worse. If anything, white is better. Why is white better? Pass c-pawn. Bishop d6 is a fork. My bishop gets in the game. The rook gets in the game. Strong pawn wall. And here he kind of starts spinning out of control. I play c4. I kick out his bishop. And now I realize I can just simply play rook to b8. So I'm up on time, which is very rare territory for me against these grandmasters. I trade off this rook. Simple chess. This rook is coming too. Rook b8. He can't really stop this, so I play rook b8. And at this point, I'm up 30 seconds on the clock. So naturally, I'm getting a little bit nervous. But he just loses a pawn here. He loses the pawn on a5. I won the battle of the middle game with this nice comeback move c4. Now I hear something really strange happens. For some reason, I spend 12 seconds on the move pawn to f3. It kind of feels like I was gathering my nerves. Like, he's threatening mate. I don't know what I was thinking about, really. Gives me a check. And Shimanov is tricky and very fast. So he doesn't want to sit and play defense. He plays g5, and here he simply blunders that this is a fork. And I win his bishop, and then I win his pawn. Now I'm 2 pawns up with a passed pawn and a big time advantage. And you know what? I played very well. I advanced my d pawn, advanced my c pawn. I got this pawn all the way to c7. I mean, just total domination. And here I start having a mental malfunction. Like a complete mental malfunction. I give him a check, and we get here. And for some reason here, I completely forgot how to play chess. Like, I play king g3, which is a crazy move. Which is a completely crazy move. My idea of king g3 was that I'm going to play one of these pawns, but like I could have just played it. I could have just played the pawn move. Then I was trying to set up a mating net here, so like a full panic sets in, even though pawn to f4 is just made in a few moves. Then I give him the wrong check. Like f4, bishop d1 is just mate. Then here I get down to like 5 seconds. And it was mate in 2 here. Queen h6. But I was so worried about getting my bishop into the game. I played queen g3. And I played queen f4. And actually now I played a move here with like almost no time on the clock. But luckily I didn't lose, and this is mate. But yes, there was a moment here on the stream I played a move with almost no time remaining. So as we see here from the time bonus, yeah, it could have been better. It could have been better, but the attack works out. The position was quite bad, and it's checkmate, and we won. And we breathe a sigh of relief. In the next game, I was paired against a 2930 rated player. This is an international master from France, whose name is Marco Materia. And he's a very good, I think he's like 14, 15 years old, very good player. And in this game, I turned back the clock, and I'm 28, so that's turning back the clock to like being like 22. And I played the Dutch defense. I haven't played the Dutch in a minute, but I was enjoying a lot of Dutch yesterday. And against this d3 setup with e4, I played knight to c6, and then I played e4, e5. And basically, this is a reverse Vienna. So it's like I played e4, e5, knight c3, knight f6, and it's the Vienna gambit, but it's the Vienna with black. So this is a way you can ensure you get a Vienna every time. Knight c3 is not a good move because I can pin his knight very quickly. And then this position is already, believe it or not, better for black. So my opponent clearly did not have an understanding of these structures, didn't have an understanding for the dynamics here of the position, and he gave me his bishop, but it just helped me develop a piece. Then I gave him my bishop. It didn't help develop any of his pieces because my knight actually has better future prospects than his knight. His knight is just going to be a target for attack. So he goes bishop to e2. And here I could have played more calmly. I could have played bishop d7. I could have castled, but I went g5. So I'm a maximalist. I'm trying to go g4. I'm trying to go knight d4. You know, you're giving me space. I'm going to play confidently. I'm going to play aggressively. He castles long. And here I can actually win a pawn. I can play fe here, g4, knight d2, and queen f2. But somehow this feels like you're asking for trouble. Rook f1 stuff. You know, you win a second pawn, suddenly there's bishop f7, but actually it's black who is just comfortable and happy. I just went g4 and f4, so I sealed the position. I want to put my knight here, I want to develop my bishop, and I want to castle. I just want to also maintain a space advantage. He started trying to break out, and I played h5, and I really liked my position here. Of course, it's quite clear I will not be castling kingside, because that's where my opponent is going to try to break things open, and even if it costs him a pawn, me not, having any king safety does not sound like a very good idea. The knight goes to b3. I sense that pawn to d4 is coming, so now I develop bishop e6, and now he has to go d4. Because, in a nutshell, what I'm threatening here, let's say he plays king b1, is I'm actually threatening, in many positions, to take. Now, if he takes with a pawn, and I put my knight here, positionally, he's dead lost. Because this bishop is horrendous, and my knight will live forever. I mean, I will play c5. You will never extract my knight from the center of the board. He doesn't have a pawn to do it. He doesn't have a piece that fights on a dark square to do it. He'll have to sacrifice material. He has to go d4, at which point I was going to take his knight, try to win this pawn. He would probably take me to try to attack my queen. And after I thought even something like queen e5, queen b3, and long castle, the position is very complicated, but this is hanging. So maybe what we do is d4, here, knight e5 protecting this, and then this. And here black is very happy. I have a very powerful knight, also can't be removed. He's never going to get to my king. But he thought for a while here, and he went here, and this is when I had a feeling he messed up. Because now I get the middle, which I just talked about, and now I just castle. And you take a moment and look around here, and you go, how does white ever make a move? Like, white only has one way now to get rid of my knight, and it's pawn up to c3. How will you ever orchestrate that in this position? Your queen cannot move, right? c5. So he starts fighting my blockade. I'm like, okay, b6. Of course, you don't want to push pawns where you're being attacked, but if your opponent also has to get out of your position, life must be pretty good. Now, I see the queen, I see my king. I can obviously keep attacking, but I say, let's play simple, king b8. Let's just move the king off the c line. We press the clock. Not actually, because we're playing online. Now the opponent has to make a move. What is he going to do? Well, he plays a4. He tries to continue to attack me, which somehow doesn't make any sense because I have a lot of reinforcements for my king. He's only got these two pieces, and it's not like they can really get in anywhere. Here I took a long think because a lot of moves look good. And what I decided here is I'm going to take on f3. I'm going to alleviate some of the pressure and play something very simple. I'm just going to go here. So now his bishop is locked behind his pawn, and I control the g-file. So the signal that I'm sending is, I'm ready to attack you on the g-file at any moment. So be very careful. The center is deadlocked. You're not going to be able to break me out, and when I want, I will infiltrate. So be careful. He does what he has to do. He plays a5, but now I boot his knight. So I push the pawn, kick his knight out, and now who is attacking who, right? He's been attacking me, but now he's got a queen and a king on the same file as this rook. This rook is here. He plays king b1. I play very simple, pawn to a6. So now his knight can't re-enter the game ever. And I'm going to put my king on the a file. He plays queen b2. He wants to play pawn c3, so now I take this moment to capture, come here, bring my queen all the way back. I defend this, I attack this, I'm ready to fork him, and the position's falling apart. Here I actually blundered something. So I blundered that despite winning his pawn and cb and putting my knight... Now here I played the best move, but I thought I blundered. I played knight d4, and I sat there in a cold sweat and was like, oh my god, he has this. If I move my king, which was my plan, queen b7 is a mate. I completely hallucinated. But my position is so dominant. I have such active pieces. I can afford king c7. And if he comes here and I come here, all his pieces fall apart. He can't defend everything. And that's basically what happened. He didn't even do that. He went here, and suddenly, rook b8. And I have this, right? This, and the rooks. And there was a moment here, he thought for 13 seconds because he couldn't believe what happened to his position. The opponent's king's shelter was torn apart. All pawns eviscerated, right? And this sort of all began here when he started realizing, wait a minute, I can't do anything. Like, Gotham has this knight on d4. I don't know why he calls me that, but as opposed to Levy. But he realized, like, I can't do anything. I gotta do something, but it's his own pawns that were torn to shreds. And despite me blundering this queen check, the position was so... Look at this. I mean, this is beautiful. Look at this piece coordination. Every piece is playing. He goes bishop a4. I just take it, and I take his queen, take the knight, and I missed queen takes d3 because I had 6 seconds, but okay, knight b3 is also checkmate. He went rook a2. Here I missed rook c1, but instead I went queen b4. It's also completely winning. Knight d2, queen a3, and queen a2. And I won this game as well. This was a very nice win. I thought this was a beautiful game. A positional win with black, very rare, but from this position to just outplay my opponent in this Dutch structure, I have a really nice feel for these positions. I really like to play them in blitz because the Dutch in classical is kind of terrible. You kind of sit for like 90 minutes wondering why pieces are on certain square, but in blitz, it's just so much fun. And then I won a very nice game against the multiple time, I think, Azerbaijani national champion, Vasif Durarbayli. This game was also, I didn't know, again, I like to play on anonymous mode, so I hide the usernames. I didn't know I was playing him. Yeah, I was very happy to win this game as well. And I played against Mr. Scaraby, against Mr. Materia. I played with 95% accuracy. Chess.com thought I was 3,150. And then against Mr. Vasif, oops, I just analyzed the exact same game. I played this game at 96, so I played even better, although the previous game I think was a bit more impressive. This game, the engine thought I was 3,200. So playing very high-quality chess right before the tournament is always nice. And I won this game with the Gotham Scandinavian. Literally, if you guys go to Chessly, click the Scandinavian course, I'll link it in the description. Everything you're about to see is free. There is a free sample chapter with this exact line. So you can learn what I played against Vasif. You don't have to pay anything. So you have nothing to lose. You're really sitting there like, I don't want to do that. I don't like to study chess. I don't want to spend money. Good. It's free. Go study this exact chapter. Takes. He went knight c3. I went queen a5. Knight f3, knight f6, d4, bishop f5. This is all chapter 1. Bishop to b4. You give up the bishop. You drop the queen back. And you play knight c6, all for free. This is all in the sample chapters. Chapter 1, baseline Scandinavian knowledge. Now, in this position, white has many plans. There's a trap with this move d5. It's not really a trap, but it's a very aggressive move. It doesn't quite work out for white. White can play rook e1, queen e2, h3. I've seen everything. A move that I haven't seen too much is b4. b4 has multiple ideas. One of them is to kick my knight from the center and not have any pressure here. Another is to bring the bishop back. Now, there are many moves here, like castling, rook d8, bishop g4 right away, pinning the knight. In this game, I played rook d8. Now, I didn't think there was any difference. There is a difference. The difference is that here after b5, knight a5 is a bad move because your knight is trapped after the bishop moves. If b5, knight e7, white has queen e1, trying to go here, which is really nasty. It's actually quite a nasty move. And that is why it's actually more accurate to start with castles, because after b5, you jump with the knight into the middle, and your king is out of the center of the board. Now I know. But I thought what I did was fine. And here Vasif played a4, and I was like, wait a minute. Is this not a free pawn? Now, I imagine what he wanted to do was give me a check. And he thought c6 takes, but I can just come back. Now, the computer still thinks that white is doing well after bishop b4, a6, bishop c5, queen a5, take. It thinks that after bishop b5, knight c6, bishop b4, white is still pressuring me because I cannot castle. It shows you why you needed to castle faster. But if you play a5, which is what he played, now queen d6, and I'm just a pawn up. And here I was super happy. I thought he just straight up blundered. Like, I thought, like, He just lost the pawn. He miscalculated something. So I was super confident. He went rook b1, and again, mistakes come in pairs. So I just brought my knight back, attacking his bishop. You know, he's trying to win my pawn, but I'm attacking his bishop. He brought the bishop back, and here I can play b6, but I simply castled, which was a mistake, because I thought he couldn't take on b7. What I had calculated here was rook b7, queen c6, bishop d5, right, because it was a fork, and here I would play knight takes. And I thought after something like rook b2, I just have a nice position. For example, rook b8, maybe we trade with a lot of pressure on the side of the board. Again, the computer is the computer. It finds ways to try to not be worse. I could have, of course, played b6, but Vasif went knight e5, and that's just a bad move. It's kind of a move you play out of inertia, like you just want to make a forward move. But after pawn to c5, White's entire position is falling apart. Rook b7 is still hanging, but d4 hangs, e5 hangs, and then after that, everything hangs. Everything hangs. So just like in this game against Materia, there was a moment my opponent spent like 20 seconds and had nothing. In this position, Vasif spent 47 seconds. It felt like an eternity. So obviously at that point, I'm getting nervous because I know I'm playing somebody good just from the point total of the tournament. Now I'm like, I can't blunder. So bishop d5, I take with the queen. Now b7 is protected, and this is falling. The bishop to g5. I simply take on d4. Now I'm 2 pawns up. The knight hangs. This hangs. This is hanging in every line as well. Plays rook e1. He's down to 21 seconds. I'm up a minute with a totally dominant position. Time to fall apart, right? Now nervous. Nervous system. Has to fall apart. So I just thought, I'm like, wait a minute. That's another free pawn. I'm 3 pawns up. He goes bishop f6, pawn f6, knight g4. Now I'm like, wait a minute. What about king g7? Like, of course, the simple thing you do here is you take queen g4, queen g5, take. You try to win this endgame against the grandmaster because you have 2 pawns up. But I was like, what kind of a baby wants to trade the pieces? King to g7. Good luck trying to get with your queen, because I take on g4, and guess what? Guess what? Your knight is trapped. On top of everything else, pawn to h5, the knight gets stuck. He sacrifices it. Now I just have to take a few deep breaths. That is what I had to do here to center myself. 51-5. I mean, he's laying down, like, it's over. I just need to put it away, not blunder anything. He plays f4. I got to protect my king. Pawn to d3, marching into the position, right? He comes to e2. He's looking for this. I brought my queen in. He gives me a check. King is safe. A little bit scary, but safe. Rook e2. And now I'm like, okay, I got to trade pieces. So let's get the rooks off the board. With no pieces, he's never mating me. He plays h3. And now I'm like, okay, I got this. I got this, right? We're bringing in the rooks. He tries to create a little bit of counterplay here against my king, but every move I play is a check. It's easy because if he plays queen e2, it's rook d2, so he plays here. Now it's forced checkmate. I bring in my rook, play queen f1, play queen f2, and I beat Vasif. I don't think I've ever even played Vasif. I think these games were like a long time ago. I think it's like Bullet from like 2017. I have a lot of like random records. I've beaten Fallujah 10 times, but in Hyper Bullet in like 2017 or something super ridiculous. Maybe 2019. I think in modern day I've never played Vasif. The last time I played him was I played him once in 2024, and the rest was like 3 years ago. Yeah, all mostly Bullet games. Some games in 2021 in Blitz. It's complete nonsense on the screen. But yeah, I forgot I played him in April of this year. So it was nice to get revenge. I played this game at 96%, and I had 8 out of 10. In the last round, you know, I played Zhu Zhangyu, XXY Seoul, and he just played a beautiful game. I mean, it was a Sicilian. I played my favorite line. I got a position where, you know, I thought it was complicated. I ended up sacrificing a pawn in this game, damaging his structure. He just called my bluff and just outmaneuvered me. I mean, he played very dynamically in the center on the queen side, and then he hit me with this really nasty tactic at the end where it looked like he blundered. Rook takes knight, but he had this. And he's threatening my rook, and a geometric forced checkmate on the edge of the board. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's levels, but I'll get there. And I've never even been 2,900, so this is a 3,000 rated Blitz player. But I won 5 games in a row in this Title Tuesday, which felt quite nice. And I got up to a rating of 2,783, which is also quite nice. And we keep rolling along. Tomorrow, we have a new tournament beginning. GM Norm here in New York City. Coach will be covering it. It will be streamed on YouTube and on Twitch. And Patreon folks, stick around. Not here, but on Patreon. I'm going to go into depth on some more games from these Title Tuesday runs the past 2 weeks. And as always, you guys will get a lot of behind-the-scenes content as well. That's all I have for you today. Get out of here.